Well, welcome to this live chat on building a cattle panel slash pallet greenhouse. I'm gonna throw the pallets aren't necessary. We used pallets on one we just recently built, so I'm gonna be sharing a little bit about that. And I basically just want to talk about cattle panel or hoop houses in general, some benefits of them, and then I actually have a little bit of video that I shot of us building that greenhouse. I just kind of popped in like 4 or 5 different times, took some short minute or two videos just to show the progress along the way. I'll play those as we go, and then I didn't do a very good job in the videos of really explaining what we were doing, so I'll try to like break those videos down and give you an idea of what was going on there as we get to it. But first I just want to kind of go over a few things. Excuse me. What the benefits of a greenhouse, of a hoop house, a cheap one, and then give you a little bit of the supply, what you might need to build this greenhouse, and then we'll just look at some videos and talk our way through it. So let's just start with that. What are the benefits of a hoop house, of having a hoop house? Of course, extended growing season is probably the most obvious benefit. And you know, some crops grow faster and have higher yields in a hoop house. You get protection from the elements like hail, like wind, things like that, heavy rain. It can really do a lot to save your crops if you get some extreme weather. You have fewer disease issues, and mostly that's because of it's a little bit drier, more controlled situation on the watering. A lot of what brings in disease is too much rain a lot of times, and it just invites the problems. So you're controlling the water. You put the right amount on it, and so you don't have those as much of a disease issue. There some things can happen still, but less for sure. Protection from animals and pests. You know, deer, it's hard for them to, if you got a closed up hoop house, they're not going to get in there too easily. Birds aren't going to go in there and eat your produce and stuff like that. Bugs, you're going to get some bugs, but not like you would if you know, it was just wide open. Low weed pressure is another benefit, especially you've got soil that you've cultivated, you've put in there, seeds not blowing in by the wind. Being moved into your ground. You're not having the creeping in like crabgrass and things like that into your garden. So it has a lot of benefits there as well. I think one of the greatest benefits of a building a greenhouse like this is the cost versus a traditional greenhouse. It's so much cheaper. I have a very small greenhouse. You guys have probably seen pictures of it. I've posted. I'm proud of my little greenhouse. I love it. It's very nice looking. For my little tiny property, it does great. It does everything I need it to do. But I spent about 3 times more money on this greenhouse, and his is several times bigger than mine, what we're going to show you today in this hoop house. So yeah, you save a lot of money building one like this. Do they look quite as nice? No, they don't. They're a high tunnel, you know. But they function just as good. They really do, and it's not hard to build, as you'll see today. So let's just look at some supplies you will need to build a hoop house. You're going to need some cattle panels. These are 16 foot long. Now the ones he got, there's some different ones. There's cattle panels, there's hog panels. And the ones he got were the 50-inch by 16 feet. So just over 4 feet by 16 feet. He ended up getting 6 of them to build a 25-foot greenhouse, 25 feet long. Of course, you're going to need some pallets. You're going to want some good pallets. So as you're collecting your pallets, just save out your best ones for a project like this. You're going to see that the pallets he had today were these heavy oak pallets, very heavy oak, and they were extremely hard to nail into and screw into and cut and everything else. But it's what he had, and we used what he had, and they actually worked out really nice. They were like 2 foot high, so you would see a pallet like this as a 4x4 pallet. You just cut that in half to get 2 foot on each side, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get to it as well. You're going to need these kind of staples right here, these fence staples. Now, these things aren't easy to nail in. You're going to want some pliers maybe some needle nose pliers to hold on to them while you hammer. Otherwise, you'll get your fingers in there trying to hold them while you're hammering these things in, and you'll bust your fingers up. So it's a necessity when you're using these things. And you're going to need some metal posts. Now, these aren't T-posts. These are called U-posts. And I like these better for this situation because they go flat up against a T-post isn't really going to go flat up against. You can attach them to the pallets, but what this is to stand your pallets up on the side. And so these are nice. You can drive them in the ground. You can actually get these a little bit shorter. You can get these like 3 feet long, 4 feet long, whatever, and drive them down a couple feet, leave a couple feet sticking up, and attach, they got holes in them. You can just run screws right through them into your pallets, so to hold your pallets straight up on your sides, and it just gives it some stability. You don't have to use pallets, as we'll talk about. These are T-brackets, by the way. You're going to need 4 of these is what we used. There's that, and you're going to need some greenhouse film. For one the size that he built, which is about 8.5 feet wide by 25 feet long, it's about 7.5, a little over 7 feet tall in the middle. He spent just a little over $100 on plastic, so or the poly for the poly greenhouse film for his hoop house. So, but you're going to need that as well, and that's going to be one of your more expensive things. That and the cattle panels are for sure your more expensive things. So that's kind of a list of the things you're going to need. Now you're going to need a few 2x4s. I didn't mention that. You're going to need a few random 2x4s. You're going to need of course, nails and screws. I prefer screws. I didn't even put that in the list, but you're going to need some for your ends, and I'll talk about it when we get to it. You're going to need there's the insulation that you put around water pipes. You're going to want that for the ends, so when the plastic comes over on the ends, it doesn't get cut on the wire of the fence. So you'll have to get some of that to go around the hoop part on the ends. So when you stretch out plastic over it, doesn't rip the plastic. So that's something else you have to have. So just a few things, a few random things. Of course, the tools that we used were a skill saw. We didn't use any hardly power tool. Skill saw was the only power tool we had out there, I believe. And my cordless drill, I used that for the screws. That was it. That was the only power tools we had. So you don't need a lot of tools for this project. Let's just jump in, and these videos aren't high quality. It was windy. There was an airplane flying in circles over our head because there was an airport right by his house. So you hear the plane, you hear the wind. It's why I really didn't just put these videos together for that alone. I wanted to kind of come on and talk about what we did because we were tired and working hard, and I kept forgetting to film, and I had to remind myself every once in a while to stop and take a little short film. So it's just like a minute or two here and there, as you'll see. So let's take a look at the first video. We're getting started basically. Well, we're out here at a friend's homestead today, and we're starting to put some sides up. We're going to build a cattle panel greenhouse, and he has these pallets, these little 2-foot pallets here. So we're going to basically make sides about 2 feet high, give it a little bit of height on the cattle panel green, because one of the downfalls of a cattle panel greenhouse, I think, are just if you just use a standard 16-foot cattle panels and make the hoop right to the ground pretty much with just maybe a 2x6 or 2x8 frame, it's pretty low in the middle. So we wanted to raise the sides up a couple feet. You can see it's attached here, and we got the other one we haven't put up yet, but it's on the ground here, and we're going to stand them up. They're going to be 8 feet across. So it's going to be 8 feet, and it's going to be about 25 feet long, just under 25 feet long. We got 5 panels. And yeah, so we wanted to come out here and just kind of do a little video on how to do it. It's pretty simple. It's going to be a nice little hoop house. And, it's January 6th, about 40 degrees here in Indiana, which isn't too bad of a day. So it's going to work out pretty good. You went up there to get some materials, but yeah, this is what we got here, and I'll be just kind of filming little clips along the way as we're making progress. Okay, I explained a few little things there. I'll just kind of go over it again. And the sun was in my eyes, so every video I'm squinting with, especially the one eye. I'm not a good look, but and it wasn't too bad out there temperature wise. This was back in January. We were putting this up, so it was a really nice day for a January day in Indiana. But I kind of explained there raising those sides up. A lot of people build these hoop houses, and what they'll do is they'll just put like a 2x8 2x6 or 2x8 frame around the bottom, and they'll bring those 16-foot cattle panels right down to that. And they might only make it 6 feet or 7 feet wide, so they can get a little higher in the middle, so you get this really sharp, tight hoop, or they can spread it out a little bit further to the 8 feet, and then it comes down. We wanted this thing to be pretty good size. I wanted it to be really tall in the middle, so we decided to use pallets, just 2 foot raised up. They were a little taller than that, you've seen, but when we brought the panels down to the boards, because you've seen there was like runner boards and then there was the long boards, we brought the panels down to the long boards, so it made it 2 feet up on each side. So you got 4 feet extra, so you basically got a 20-foot hoop is what you end up with. So we were able to actually go about 8.5 feet wide, and it put it a little over 7 feet in the middle. So it was really, really nice size. And I said 5 panels there. He ended up needing 6. I don't know why I kept saying 5, but it ended up being 6 panels to get 25 feet because they were 50-inch panels. They make 60-inch panels. He bought, this is where our confusion came in, but he bought the 50-inch panels, which are a lot cheaper. So if you're not making a big greenhouse, it's fine. And he bought, I think they're hog panels, because they're one end, the squares are tighter, so you can put that down, and so hogs can't push through it. But yeah, that was kind of the beginning there of just standing those up. Now what we did, you see how they were standing up, and we just took those posts and just went every couple sections and put a post down, screws in through those posts to the boards to get them straight and solid. And then we came, as you'll see in the next video, we kind of come in on the ends on one end with 2 pallets, and then on the other end we use I used a 2x6 at the very bottom that he would have to step over, and then we started framing in the doors. You'll see. Let's just go on to the next video. Okay, well, we made a little progress here, so I'll just give you another little video. The door is going to be at the other end. Put a cattle panel up there without the framework in the front right now. It's kind of a little wobbly, but getting ready to build the frame for the door, and then we're just going to start putting cattle panels all the way back to this thing. It's going to come out pretty nice. Left it a little high because we're actually going to drive these 4x4s. They're really like 3x4 or something like that boards that are attached to these skids. We're just going to push them down into the ground to where all these lower boards are flat to the ground, because it's pretty soft out here, so we're going to push it down. But we can go ahead and build the entire thing and then go around and kind of pop those down, or push them, step on them and push them down in there. Yeah, it's that all the way back. We're just going to build that frame in the front, solid it up, and then we're going to start hooking the cattle panels up all the way across the back, all the way to the back, and then we'll build our little frame section in here in the back to kind of give it the rest of its stability, and then we'll be ready for plastic. So that's where we're at so far. So I just pop in and show you a little progress video as we go. Okay, yeah, what I was talking about there is his ground was pretty soft out there, and you see how those runner boards were actually, 3-4 inches above the long boards on top and bottom. We were just going to push that down because it was going to sink anyway. There wasn't no solid foundation or anything under it, so we kind of just pushed that down. And that ground is really soft out there. We were like sinking a little bit in it because it'd been raining a lot and icy a lot and cold, and all that stuff just melted, and that ground was pretty soft out there. But we picked a pretty good location on his property. He's got 5 acres out there, and he's actually going to start market gardening this year, so this hoop house is going to be really, really beneficial. And we even talked about building, he wants to maybe build some for his chickens and ducks and things like that. He's going into that business as well, so got a lot going on there. You seen across the back there, it was kind of crooked and everything. It didn't even matter when we pushed those other sides down. It kind of leveled out, and we squared that off with 2x4s and everything. So everything just, once you wrap all that with plastic, it tightens it all up. This thing is solid as a rock, though, I can tell you that. What we did when we brought those panels down, you see, I already had one panel up, and we just kind of did that to see where we were for the framing on the front. We just took those staples, those 1.5 inch used staples, and we just went around the bottom and we attached those to those boards, that runner board, that long board on the pallet, right to the top of it. We brought it over I think they were like 3x4 boards onto the long boards, attached those. Now if you were doing a regular pallet, you could just attach them right to the side of the pallet, on the outside of the pallet or inside the pallet, whichever one you wanted to do, and then draw, and loop them down that way. Let's go on to video number 3, and then we're going to see the progress we're making here, and I'll have a lot more to talk about.
Well, we are making progress here. We got the door, and I got a little bit of framing to do. I'm going to come out to the sides here and get that on both sides. But as you can probably see, it's kind of a muddy mess out here. But you know, we got the door in. We're going to do some stuff there to finish that up. But we're about halfway back with cattle panels. Got some. It's about a little over 7 feet tall centers. We're actually having to put some poles in here and draw these sides in to keep them from pushing out, because the way we got it designed. But it's working pretty good. I think it's going to end up being really, really nice when we're done. And like I said, nice and long. We're halfway back, and it's coming along great. So again, little updates as we go. But I think it'll be a really nice little greenhouse when all's said and done. So that's how it's going so far. So if you're thinking about making a cattle panel greenhouse, there's 2 of us working on it. We've been working on it maybe a couple hours, and that's with kind of piecing together scrap material, because the only thing we've purchased for this is a couple hinges for the door. There's an old screen door out of the garbage, and he had these fence posts, but I mean, you would have to buy some fence posts to kind of secure it down, some wire to tie things in, some staples, a 1.5 inch nail staples to kind of attach the cattle panels to the boards on the side, and that's pretty much it. So it's going well, and it's pretty inexpensive a greenhouse, as you can see. So I'll keep you updated as we go along here.
Okay, a few things I'll point out there. When we built that framing around the front, that door was pretty tall, as you could tell. It was right to the top. I mean, because we had to raise it up a little bit above a 2x. You probably wouldn't always be in that situation, but you seen that gap across the top. We actually had to we're going to run a board. There was going to have to be a board kind of behind the door, so you'd have to duck your head a little bit when you walk in, but it was going to have to be that way just because of that size of that door. That door was really tall, and we had to raise it up because we had that 2x6 at the bottom holding the framing in. We did have to go back and put more posts in, is what I was talking about in the beginning there, because we'd only put like 2 on each side, which I wanted to put more. He was kind of debating with me. I don't think he wanted to use all of his posts. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think you might need more. We ended up putting like 5 down each side to keep that really solid and straight, because you get a little tension when panels are bent over, and then when you get all of them in a row, they start flexing a little bit. So they was kind of pushing out on those skids a little bit, so we had to draw them in and put more posts in. It wasn't a big deal, but it was just something we had to do. Also, I'd mentioned wire, or we found something that worked way quicker and I think just as good, and it was zip ties. We took where those panels come against each other up at the top, all the way around. We just put zip ties all the way around, cut the excess off, and they were really heavy duty zip ties. It was a lot quicker than taking wire and bending wire on it. And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, if you get a bundle of zip ties on something, it ain't going nowhere. I mean, we put one like every 2 feet on every panel all the way around, and it was a lot quicker than doing wire, and I think just as good, honestly. It ain't going nowhere. That's for sure. See, what else could I point out about that section? The framing of the door. You see how it's framed. I put boards up, and in the next video, I believe it is, I'll show you the staples at the top, how it's attached. But I needed a couple boards going this way over towards the door, down a little bit off the sides. He was going to have to go get 2 more of those T-brackets to attach those on the sides, but we need to do that before we put the plastic on. So there's still a couple things we're going to have to do before we stick the plastic on, but seriously, like 20 minutes worth of work, and we'll be stretching plastic over this thing. Which the things we'll have to do is put those 2 end boards on and those plates, put that pipe insulation around the ends, and start stretching plastic over this thing and stapling it down. So, and you have to have a lath board. Something else I didn't mention. Lath is like the furring strip. They're like, what are they, 2 inches wide by, I don't know what the thickness is on them, but it's a lath board, and you can run that all along your boards, down along the pallets, around anywhere you got wood, and you can just put nails through that, and that'll really keep that plastic good and tight. So that was something else that he had some of that, but that's something we'll have to do when we go to attach the plastic onto the greenhouse. Okay, let's look at the next video.
Okay, well, we're making more progress. We got all the panels up, and you see them walking through there. And like I said, if you come down to it's a pretty good sized greenhouse. I mean, it's 25 feet long, almost dead on the money. And we got the door, like I said, this old junk door out of the trash. And yeah, pretty decent size. And I tell you what, you got in cattle panels, they're like 20 bucks a piece. So you got $100, a little over $100 in this thing with staples and the panels. You got 5 panels.
Well, I should have 6.
Oh, you got 6. So you got 120 plus. I mean, it's definitely under 150 bucks, and you got basically an 8 by 25 greenhouse. So coming along, we ain't done. Like I said, we got to put some cross pieces up here in the front. We got a frame in the back, and then they'll have poly over it, which, like I said, got a little bit more money in that. But all in all, coming along pretty good, I think.
Okay. Yeah, my math wasn't dead on there. I mean, you had probably 100 with tax and everything, maybe 130 in panels. Of course, if you have pallets, you can usually find pallets for free. He got those for free from his work. But the reality is, you're going to buy screws. You're going to buy those fence staples. You're going to buy the zip ties. There's a few things to buy. I think total with plastic, everything that because he had a lot of stuff that he already had, but it's stuff that you have to buy anyway. He bought those fence posts at one point. Probably had $300 in this entire thing, said and done, poly and everything. So, I mean, but $300 for a greenhouse, 8.5 feet wide, 25 feet long, and 7 feet high in the middle. And he wants to actually go down the sides with raised beds and things like that. But so, I mean, it's a very affordable thing to do to extend your growing season and all those other benefits. And there's even more benefits. I just rushed through a few benefits there of having a hoop house. And as far as he's going to be, especially with market gardening, like he's planning on doing, he's going to be able to extend that season quite a bit. He's going to be able to have a way higher production because of that hoop house. And I'll kind of point out a few things from this video.
Okay, here we go. It's not completely finished, of course, but it's as much done as we're going to get today. It actually has these 2 little brackets here we got to do, but we got to get some T-brackets to attach them to this pole here. So we're going to wait till he's not doing the plastic today, so we're going to wait on that anyway, and he's going to put those on later. But let me just kind of show you what we got here. As you can see, it still has some staples let's put in. He's going to finish those up, touches up along the edge here on the bottom. So we put minimum amount right now, attaching the cattle panels to the bottom board. But if I'll kind of put this up here and kind of show you like how we would attach up there. I think I got it right. There we go. You seen it? Okay. And as you can see, it's a pretty nice long. Ends up being 25 feet. Almost on the money, wasn't it? It actually came right to the end. We just kind of thought it might be a couple inches short, but it actually came out pretty good right to the end. And here at the end, we got, you can see we got that all secured. Made a little box here because there's going to be a little window. Oh man, it's not the eyes, I can't see. There's a kind of box this off. There's going to be a little pop-up window here. You can pop open. Maybe you can put a fan in at some point if he needs it. But you see, it came out pretty dang nice. All in all, I think you got you a pretty nice greenhouse there. What do you think? Or at least the beginnings of it anyway. And well on its way, but that's as much we're going to really do to it today, just because it's lacking a couple pieces and he still has to go get the plastic for it and then do the finishing touches on it. But it came out pretty nice, and really, I mean, we kind of took it slow and goofed off a little bit, but really, what would you say it would take maybe 3 hours to, if he's really humping, to put all that together? Probably about 3-4 hours tops to get it that far along. So
We started out the hardest part, carrying those heavy.
yeah, we had these oak pallets, man. Them things were heavy. We had to carry them from way back on his property. So, we got tired just doing that. So, yeah, pretty happy with it. I mean, I always kind of wanted to build one of these. I've seen them done on YouTube and stuff a few times. Texas Prepper 2 was a guy who kind of made him famous. But he had his right to the ground. Like I said, I thought raising it up a couple feet.
Most people know.
Yeah, raising them up a couple feet on the sides, all the difference in the world. Because it would have been really low. It would have probably been under 6 feet at center without that. And it's about 7 now. So, and it's actually about 8.5 by about 7 feet tall, roughly. So, and 25 feet long. So, pretty nice. So anyway, I wanted to share that with everybody and kind of give you some ideas on what you can do. And like I said, a lot of this stuff you just had laying around, kind of pieced it together. So not a lot of money involved in it. If you can find scrap materials and pallets, and like I said, the cattle panels are definitely the most expensive part, but you don't have to make one near this big. He's just kind of greedy and thinks he deserves something big like this.
I'd be happy about half the size, really.
Right. Yeah, I mean, half of my greenhouse is about a fourth of that size. So and I grow a lot of stuff in my little greenhouse, so I'm happy with it. I wish I had more property so I could build something like this. I really like it. And like I said, we got the door, and let me just walk down the middle here so we can kind
Kind of wonder if the camera gives perspective.
yeah. Oh yeah, you can really see it when you're walking in. I mean, it's oh, let me get this door close so the wind don't catch it. We ain't put a stop or anything on it yet, but yeah. Definitely, it looks pretty good size in here when you're standing here like that. A lot of room, a lot of space to grow stuff in here. He's gonna put some, put shelves up the sides, and it's going to be pretty nice. So, yeah, nice little afternoon project, or well, I guess it ended up being most of the day for us. But if we had all the stuff here, and we had to run in town and get some parts and stuff, so yeah, came out pretty decent. Pretty happy with it. So, anyway, there you go.
Okay, a few things that I forgot to mention. When you put those panels on, the wire that goes long ways around needs to be up. If you flip that over and your ones that go the lengthwise of the greenhouse are up, they got sharp ends on them that will cut your plastic. But if you keep the ones that go this way on the top, that plastic will just go over, and all the sharper points on the ones that are going the other way on the ends, those will be on underneath. So there's no risk of cutting your plastic that way. We actually messed up on one of the panels and got it the wrong way, and and we did not fix it. So what we'll have to do is get more of that insulation, that water pipe insulation, and go on both sides of that one, which, fortunately that one's in the middle, like almost dead in the middle. So, it'll actually give it a little bit of cushion there anyway. Something else I've actually heard recently, like in the last few weeks since we built that, was when you're building them that long, you should probably go in the middle somewhere and get a couple, put a couple on the side of 2x4s up on the side and give it some more stability in the middle, because under a heavy snow they can collapse. They say if you go over 4 panels, there's a good chance of that happening. He's 6 panels, so we're going to put a couple 2x4 studs, about halfway in that thing. He's going to build out with some shelving, so we'll just come straight up off the shelving and attach it to there, and that'll give us some of the stability to where it won't have that any snow will be able to push down on it or anything next year. So that was a couple things I wanted to mention. And look for parts, look for things like a storm door or something like that, a small door. If you have to make a door, though, it's not hard. You noticed I put that square in the back. Definitely going to have we're going to make a flip lid there, so you have to have a couple hinges for that. And if you stick a box fan or something up there, if it's really hot, summer or whatever, you might have to run some extension cords out there, throw you a box fan up in there to really pull that air, keep the door open. On my little greenhouse, that's all I really do. I open the hatch. I don't even have a fan in there. I open the door and open the hatch on the roof, and it gets good enough circulation. I grow peppers and tomatoes in there all summer long, 100 degrees. So, you can do that, but in one that long, if he's going to, depends on what he's growing in there, he's going to have to probably pull a lot of air through there. So I told him you might have to run a extension cord out there at some point and get a fan in that window. Maybe not. It's pretty windy out there. You've seen how flat it is out there. He'll probably have a really good airflow, actually, so he may not if he just leaves everything open, but we're definitely going to make the hatch and all that stuff. As you see, it really isn't that hard. I mean, I mentioned we had to drag all those pallets, and they were clear on the back end of his property. And we couldn't get his truck back there because the ground was so soft. So we had to hand carry them dudes all the way across that property. we were pretty wore out before we started working on that thing, just getting all the stuff out there where we were building it, because he didn't have anything close and we couldn't use a truck to get it out there. We had that cart, but he's got real tall weeds out through there. So we just hand carried him up. So that was a little bit of work doing that. And just getting all the supplies together. We did have to run into town. We ended up being out there maybe 5 hours working on it and that was with going and getting parts and everything. So it really wasn't that bad. If we'd have been really hustling and had everything right there, honestly, we probably could have done all that in 2 to 3 hours. It really isn't a big job. Now, another hour putting the plastic on, finishing touches. You'd probably have a 6-hour day start to finish if you was hustling. So it's not really that big a job. It took me that long. It took me longer than that to put together my little kit greenhouse that I got, just because it was so complicated and a mess. But a lot of times everything's like that, though, and it's like IKEA style. But like I said, every one of them I look at, they bring it all the way to the ground. They bring those panels all the way to the ground, so it's a lot shorter, a lot tighter, a lot smaller. This is the way to go. I mean, I wouldn't do it any other way. Just, you want to raise those sides up with some pallets. It gives you a little stability. You could actually put some siding on that, or you could get something I did see one time. Somebody did one of these, and they put the galvanized metal, like barn metal or just siding metal or whatever it is, on the sides, and had almost like you've seen raised beds like that. They did the sides like that up a couple feet, and then that looked really, really nice. And they had like raised beds built on the inside. It looked really, really good. It's kind of where I probably got this idea at. I've seen that a long time ago, but yeah, it was fun to build, easy to build, and it's going to be great for him. He's going to have a great setup there. So, if you don't do it exactly like that, that's the fun of homesteading and building, that you can kind of do it your way, the way you want to do it, and adjust it according to whatever you got laying around. If you got some stuff laying around that might work, don't have to be exactly like that. It could be a little different and probably just as good. So maybe better. We're about to put the finishing touches on this here greenhouse. We got it all stretched plastic. We got a few pieces of our trim to put on to kind of help keep tension, just make sure it doesn't get too loose. We got plastic up the opening on that door yet, and I got the window to make in the back, but it's doing pretty good. We put that up there, that board across there temporarily. We're putting some raised beds on the inside, and that'll keep the tension, but that was leaning out a little bit, so we wanted to kind of hold it until we get those beds built. That'll kind of bring it in. But wow, even with that window open and this door open, there's probably about a 20-degree difference in here already. So it's going to do the trick. And like I said, we just got to build that little window there and plastic this door. But we are pretty pleased with it, as you can imagine. Got a little excess trimming to do over here. Back up a little bit so you can see it really good. That is the finishing touches of the 8.5 by 25 foot cattle panel / pallet greenhouse, and came out pretty decent. And all in all, he's somewhere between a little over $250, I think, total is what it came out to be with everything. And he had to buy a few things, but I mean, we're adding the price of nails, screws, and everything in this, and pretty dang pleased with it. But you can build one too. It doesn't take a lot, and you don't have to make it near this long and have near that much money in it. For $150, you could build one half this size and grow a lot of food. So there you go.